Hey y'all, Chris from Thunder Lazy here. Wanted to talk to you about calibrating your axes in Lightburn. This is a useful tool to get the most accurate cuts. It can be used if you change something mechanically, periodically, just a good spot check, or say you replace your controller and you need to dial that back in, like you notice your y-axis is only doing like half the length or something. Pretty easy to do. Lightburn's got a little built-in prompt for it, and it's just a couple basic measurements. Now, as we do this, we want to be able to score on a large piece of material, a large shape, but we also need to be able to measure that shape accurately, right? All that goes into it. Now, the reason why we want a large shape is we minimize error, mostly the human error. So as we're measuring, if we're off by, say, a tenth of an inch, but we're measuring against a 1 inch square, that's a large percentage. That's like a 10% error. But if we measure that off by 20-inch square and we're still a tenth of an inch, that's 1/20th of the same error. So as we get bigger and bigger, uh, that error is minimized. So if you start with a 1 inch square and then you go and do a 48-inch square, guess what? 10% of a 48-inch square is quite a bit. So you definitely want to start with a large square. Then you got to account for kerf. The kerf is the line width. We don't have an infinitely thin cut line here or scroll line. Easiest way to do that is just measure the edges versus center to center. So we would measure, say, the left side, left edge, or then on the right side also measure to the left edge, which would be the inside part of the square. That goes ahead and eliminates the kerf, right? And then have you a good measuring device, calipers, sturdy measuring tape, something that doesn't flex and or stretch. You can get the most accurate measurement. Other than that, it's pretty easy to do. Um, let's get to it. Right here, I've got two squares drawn. One's going to be our what we would actually score. You can do squares or lines, rotate material to do each axis independently or do them together. Doesn't really matter. And then this magenta is going to be our faux. This is what actually scored for us on the material, and we'll use that to get our base measurement. You'll need some known good settings for whatever your material is. So on this cardboard, I can do probably 120 and be okay. If you're doing some other material or you're trying to cut, just adjust your settings to whatever you need. Now, the tutorial or the wizard that Lightburn provides is under your machine settings. It's going to be this calibrate axis. Before we do any changes, we want to save. So go ahead and save your machine settings to somewhere on your computer, USB stick or something, so they have a backup copy. Because if you get way out of hand here and mess it up, you want to be able to load that file back and then write it down. All right. So in Lightburn, edit machine settings. Of course, we've got to be connected to the machine because these are controller-based settings, and you adjust it. So you click calibrate axis. That's going to open up a prompt. It's got which axis you want to calibrate. So we got X, Y, Z, and even rotary U, which I do not recommend using that. Underneath that, it'll list out the current step length. This is what is relating how to drive the motor to get your desired dimension. This will be our value that we actually scored. So the requested distance is, hey, I drew a 20-inch square. I'm going to put 20 inches here. The actual distance is the magenta, what we actually measured on the material. So whatever that value is, we would put in here. And then Lightburn will say, there's changes ready to go. So we have our old step length, our new step length. It'll summarize it here, and then you click right. You must click right. So that sends it down to the controller. You also need to make sure you're on the correct axis. Don't get them mixed up. And it's that easy, right? So let's take an example. We got this 20-inch square, and I've got the measuring tool in Lightroom that we're going to fake out. And okay, this ends up being a 19.8 in the X direction, no, Y direction, and 19.75 in the X. You can also see that up here if we just get rid of the measuring tool, select the square. You can see X 19.75 and 19.8. So we're pretty close, right? If I just go in, edit, go back to my machine settings, calibrate axis, X, I would leave it at the 20 because that was my drawn size. 1975. That's what we got up here. Click right, and then open it up again for Y. Put in my 20. You can see it's got a completely different step length. That's because the gearing is different. Then I put my 19.8. Click right, and away we go. Now we've got the axes calibrated from our first step. So what we would do is we'd run another 20-inch square. It's easy just to basically on the material, I just move the origin down a little bit, down to the right, and then start with the new user origin there, and have it score overlapping or whatever. So I save material and just measure again, input the values till you get as accurate as you need to be, for whatever you're cutting and engraving. But it's as easy as that. Hope this helped. If you have any questions, let us know.